In a small town where the mountains climb, Tiff and the Punisher fight through time against a force that's cold and cruel, trying to save the family's golden rule. In the snowy reach of Alaskan nights, Spanish stands tall for everyone's rights, with the Constitution as her guiding star, fighting for justice no matter how far. They won't let our families break, holding strong for justice's sake. With every word and every stand, they fight for the freedom of this land. CPS tries to sweep them away, but Tiff and the Punisher are here to stay, reading those rights with hearts so pure, standing their ground so fearless and sure. Spanish voice echoes through frozen air, for every family she's always there, with a heart full of fire and a mind so clear, fights for what's right, so we have no fear. They won't let our families break, holding strong for justice's sake. Every stand, they fight for. They are taking our kids every day. I shout them in and no one has a thing to say, for those who have been isolated. Don't be worried, you have a voice today, so listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them, but when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeve. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, god damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids, pictures held up like thin ties. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out, CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior, and we cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen way too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the stop. Stop.
All right, what's up, everybody? Woo, Lord. What's up, Tiff?
Not much, just hanging in there.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, here we are.
Right out.
Well, you know what? You're better-eyed than last night. You know, I'm excited. I like when our guest tonight comes. I like it. She definitely gets the conversation going. Let's just bring her out, shouldn't we?
Yep.
All right. Come on out, Kim.
Hey.
Hey, what's up, Kim?
Well, I got a new scenario for y'all.
Oh, what is it?
I private messaged you a little bit about it.
Yes,
I got
I
a
see
young
that.
mama who's 21, just turned 21, got a 5-year-old, so she was 17 when she had him. Am I right? 18, 19, 20, 20. No, she was 16. He was 24, an illegal alien. He refuses to let her see her son. It's here in Texas, north of Austin. She's got a birth certificate. Her name's on the birth certificate. He's an illegal. She wants to know if it's legal for her to go to the school and get the child. I told her absolutely. Because he has no rights in this country, right? And he has human trafficked people. She wants me to go with her to retrieve the child. I just want to make sure that I'm correct about those things.
Wow, that's a big one, Kim.
Yeah.
Go with her, but before you go, call ICE.
Call ICE. Okay. And have ICE meet us at the school. We've reported him to ICE several times, and there's no action because they're going for the massive criminals that are beheading people and stuff. So they haven't gotten really to this level yet, is what I think. But we've reported it on the website. We've called. We've done several things to get no response. I was thinking about cruising by Abbott's office on my way there and just giving him a heads up we're on our way.
Yeah, because Abbott definitely does not want those people in his state.
Correct. And it's in the Austin metro area.
How old's the kid?
5.
5.
How did he get him anyway?
She was young. She had no way to support herself. She couldn't figure out which way was up, and he was threatening her and abusive to her. And she had him for a while. Then he scared her with threats of violence. And so she was scared. You know what I mean? Just that whole cycle. She was abused as a child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so
he
that whole
probably abused
cycle.
her.
Yeah. And he was sleeping with her when she was 14 and he was 23.
Oh
He'd have
my
been in
God.
jail.
Yeah, he
You
should have been in
been
jail.
dead.
Yeah.
Um,
So
there's no custody papers, correct?
no custody papers at all. He's an illegal.
Well, that's great. That means she can go get him at the school and there's nothing that they can do.
That's what I thought, and that's what I told her. But I wanted to double check with y'all to make sure that was the real skinny. You know.
Now, what are they going to do? What are they? Oh, because he's not on the birth certificate, right?
No, he is.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are they doing about that new rule that they came out with that the order that Trump signed that there's no more born in Americans anymore?
Well, but you have to understand his mother is a U.S. citizen.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Mom's
That-
a citizen.
Right.
All right.
Mom is a citizen. And let me just give y'all a little bit background. I helped her mama with her when she was young.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So there's a history. I know the family pretty intimately. And has everything always been great? No. However, she's trying. She's trying to do the right thing by
Yeah,
the child. And she's scared. And I get it. Her own father, it was questionable whether he had molested her or not. She was showing a lot of signs of it as being young. And that's why I stepped up to the plate for her. I met her through the attorney. I met the mama through the attorney that I was working for at the time in Atlanta. So that's how I came into the situation.
Go get that baby tomorrow.
Okay.
And do it live, so we can put that
Or
on.
record it.
Yeah, whatever way.
Okay. I just don't know what we're going to run into at the school. And so I wanted to make sure I had case law to back me up. If there is any, there may not be because
Well,
this
you'll have
is
the
all
mom,
new.
right?
Yeah,
She got
I'll
the
have
birth
the mom.
certificate.
Yep.
And guess
I know that's what I told her. And I said, right then and there, you can ask for a copy of all of his school records too.
Well, here's the thing: unless there is a quote unquote court order of who has custody,
There
they
is not.
have. Then
There's
she can
nothing.
go pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does that fall under the UCCJEA now? Does it fall under the where the custody goes is where the kid's been for 6 months? Is that how that works? If there's no order?
Probably, if he can prove that the kid's been there. How about we take the kid and entertain him for a little while until 6 months ticks by? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because I imagine he's probably not going to come try to get him,
Because
right?
you think illegal's going to come hunting for that kid and go to the court in
Right.
Texas to do anything? Nope.
Right.
He had an ankle monitor, was in whatever the detention center or wherever they put illegals, and he got out under Biden, and he has not reported back to court. So we have a lot on him.
So he's not going to show up anywhere then. How is he not been picked up by this? How is he not even picked up now?
Well, she's in Wisconsin.
All right. Let's see. No, but how has he not been picked up? The father.
Because they're only picking up like Trinidad Del Agua or whatever they're, the bad ones right now.
Right, but I mean, he has arrest warrants now for not going back to court and everything. Like, how the hell does this happen?
Yeah, but
They don't care.
you're talking about Austin, Texas, honey.
Oh, that's the comedy
Austin
capital.
weird.
Oh,
Keep Austin weird. They don't care.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, they have a
courts.
huge.
I mean, the bottom line is courts don't care. They don't care.
Right. That's it. See, this is a discussion we were having with some people today. They're like, "Oh, this is illegal. You can't do this." They're reading case law. They're doing this. They're doing that. And I said, "Hold on. Who cares? No one's going to do anything about this. No one does.
Can you hear me?
Long as yes, we can hear you. As long as these courts ruling the way that they rule, without caring about the Constitution or any of this shit, what does it matter anyway? What we do? What does it matter? It's all for naught, right? So do whatever the hell you want to do. That's what I say. Just do whatever the fuck we want to do. Because if these courts are so far, they're so far-fetched, they're not protecting our rights as Americans anyway. So why can't we just go do what we want to do? and then argue to the higher courts to say rule on this constitutionally or do whatever. Why can't we just do that?
They need to go get that baby.
Yes. Okay, Kim's back. But you know what I'm saying? Why can't we just go and just do whatever we want and ask for forgiveness after?
Well,
Because
that's my thought. I mean,
right, courts
the
aren't doing
school
shit for us.
district the school district can't do crap. What are they can do? Call the school police? I mean, wow, I'm scared.
Right.
It's a civil matter.
Exactly.
So police have no business there anyway.
Right. Exactly.
And
But
where is it
I
that we're
think I
not?
truly on the way up there, I'm going to stop by Abbott's office.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to
Get a
practically
t-shirt or
drive right
sticker.
past it.
Yeah.
So,
But do you think, because now you got to be careful, because kidnapping is a crime. So you want to be
correct.
careful because you want to
But
be
she's the
careful.
mama. She's not kidnapping her own kid. He's kidnapped him from her. He will not tell her where the child is.
Do you know what school he's at?
She's got a pretty strong inkling. And I'll just go to every elementary school around there and say, you got him as a student. This is his mama.
Well,
Well,
well, I
here's the
don't.
thing. Unless there's custody that has been established, neither one of them can be charged with kidnapping.
Right. And there's no custody. He has not been to
Right.
the court. And let me tell you what this joker did to her. Okay, just as an example. Um, he she does, I mean, he'll still talk to her on the phone, okay? And the little boy talks to her on the phone. And so anyways, he tells her, when are you filing your tax return? And he works under the table, totally illegal, okay? And she's like, well, I'm getting ready to file it, and I'm going to claim the child. And he goes, no, I'm going to claim the child. She goes, so I
How you
guess
do
he
that?
wants to. Well, and this is how naive she is, okay? And she says, so I was just trying to figure out. I said, Gabriella, I probably shouldn't have said her name. Anyway, sorry. I said, he's illegal. He doesn't file tax returns.
Right.
I mean, you know, claim the kid. I mean, it's like, sometimes you can lead them water, can't make them drink, but she wants to get the child, and she should
Right.
get the child. And I think she needs to go hang out somewhere for about 6 months. So Texas doesn't have jurisdiction. There's nothing he's
Mhm.
going to do.
Right.
And if she goes and hangs out somewhere and nobody knows where she's at, she doesn't have anything to fear.
I
That's
know
what I was going to say.
he won't even report her missing.
No, I don't think he'll do anything. And I think
So
we show up, we get the kid, we withdraw him, and move on. But he's only in kinder, so it's not even illegal for him not to be in school.
right
Right.
now,
So
what happens if the father hears this? Has this been that situation where he's going to try to hide the child again?
I don't think he can. I don't think he has the finances to do it. I think he thinks he's skating on, this is a joyride for him. I think he thought in his mind if he kept the child, he was going to get to stay in the United States. But Trump is back.
You're right.
Do you have the address to where the father is?
Don't say it on here.
No, and I don't want it.
Well,
And I've
the
told her
only
that.
thing, right. The only reason I ask that is because all you got to do is search the school district.
Right.
Mm.
And I've told her that, and that may be why she knows what school he's at. Because we had talked about this about a month ago, right when Trump took office. And so we've been reaching out to ICE and trying to get it taken care of that way, which is not being successful. And so she said, what if I just show up at the school? I said, it's perfectly legal. You're the mom and you got the birth certificate.
Now, see, why can't we
Like I
just do
said,
that as parents? I've always said that. Why can't we, when they go take our kids and CPS takes them, we have the birth certificates. It's just like a car. You know, if you have the title in your hand, that's your child, period, end of story.
well,
So if you
and that
if you have
should
the
be
birth
exactly
certificate,
how it works. Unfortunately, CPS gets a pseudo court order, and so it gives it to the school, so the school won't release because they're all part of the same corruption in the government.
hmm, um,
But my thought is, as hot as this topic is right now, let's make an example of him. We may go
yeah,
viral. Trump may put us up there, guys.
yeah, this could be we're true. So make sure you charge batteries in your cameras. Make sure you got plenty of action for those.
Absolutely.
And we would do a live. We'll put you on live right when this happens, exclusive.
Yeah. I'm telling you.
Of course, we could
I'm
just be
getting back
recording
in
your
the
weird
saddle,
deal, but
guys. Hang on for the ride.
hell yeah, that's good stuff, Kim. That's great. I'm just looking up some rules here to make sure that you're not going to get your ass in jail, though.
Yeah, I don't need to go to jail. That would not be a
I'm
good
just
thing.
doing some checking on some things here.
I've been there, done that. Got the t-shirt in every size.
Well, the good news is I know a bail bondsman, so you don't have to worry.
Oh, well, thank you, Tiffany. Appreciate you.
And he can write bonds anywhere in the United States.
Love it.
So I'll put him on notice tomorrow.
I'll put you on speed dial on my phone in case. And if it's
Gotcha.
not tomorrow, it will be Thursday.
I will call tomorrow to let him know.
Okay. That's cool. So yeah, I
Gotcha.
gave y'all something to chew on tonight, didn't I?
Yeah,
Time.
I would have been wouldn't picked his little behind up.
Yep. And he's a little scrawny guy too.
Oh, then just whoop his ass while you just go ahead and get it on, you know.
Take up my pent up aggression on him. There you go.
Just
If
like
y'all
that.
weren't so far away, I'd say let's all go do it.
Yeah, hell yeah. We got planes. We can get.
Yep.
She can get from West Virginia to Texas in no time.
No, there's too many planes falling out of the sky. Deidre,
True.
she did reach out to your guest, and your guest never called her back.
Mine? Oh, no,
Deidre is the other host. We do her shows on Wednesday. She was
gotcha.
asking me about if it was the guest, her guest, and I told her no.
Okay.
Deidre said, Kim, you want to be a guest on my show tomorrow night with Tiffany and Darren?
I might be. We'll see. We'll see. You know, I keep it close, Tiffany. You know me.
I know.
I keep it close.
Tell them about fingerprinting with civil cases, because
When you
you
get
taught me
arrested for a
something.
civil case, it is illegal for them to fingerprint you. Do not ever allow it. They can take your mug shot, but they can't fingerprint you because it's not criminal.
Huh. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just had a couple call me and say that CPS wanted them to come down and get fingerprinted.
Nope.
They asked about that. They wanted them to come down. Wow.
Nope.
Absolutely not. That's like giving them your
Okay.
DNA.
Wow. Okay. That makes sense. 100%.
Yeah. Don't ever do that. And they know it in the jail. When you say this is civil contempt, you can't take my fingerprints. They're like, oh, okay. We all got to learn from each other, man, or we're never going to move this movement forward. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mama.
We're saving the world one child at a time.
That's right.
So all we need to save is one. We make one, this makes it all worth it.
Absolutely.
Of course, 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 or 30 million would be better, but one is good enough.
Hey, we'll get there. Punisher, we'll get there.
Yes, we will. The world depends on it.
Yeah. I'm fired up now for whatever reason.
That's good. That's what we need. I mean, how many?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: is this the right thing to do for this child? Like, is the dad a pretty bad person? Is what's going on here? Is this
I'm
like you
thinking
feel comfortable that this has to happen?
if he's helping bring people over the border who have been in prison and been deported and they're not supposed
Oh
to
yeah.
come back, he's a pretty bad guy.
Hmm.
And she's got screenshots of those messages. He's been even asking her for money for her to give him to help bring more people in.
Wow.
I
No
can't
coup.
believe ICE hasn't picked them up. They're all down up here in Winchester and in Front Royal. They arrested somebody who was a legal person, citizen, because they were Spanish. They had to let them go.
Oh, well,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, honey, I live in South Texas. You are
Oh,
preaching to the choir.
Now you know where
Um,
my dad lives because you live
yep. Hmm.
far from him.
Yep.
Said he had these two Spanish dudes pull up on his property. He walked out with his shotgun, and the dude said, "What are you going to do with that gun?" And my dad said, "You got 30 seconds, or you're going to find I'm going to blow your ass all over my property."
Absolutely. We were at the gas station about a month ago, and there was this old farmer. He was in his 80s and his wife. And had a farm probably 30 minutes from where we live. And he said, yep, he said, every night, Ethel and I sitting on the front porch with our shotguns because we're going to shoot them before they come shoot us. And he has to do that every night. And he's had that property. It was his daddy's property and it's his property.
Wow.
I mean, it's pathetic. He goes, we got to get home before sunset.
yeah.
He said, I'm not letting him take my land. I'm not letting him take my house. But that's how people in this part of the country. I mean, I live probably an hour and a half from Del Rio. Del Rio's an access point. I probably live 2 hours from Eagle Pass. Eagle Pass you see on the news all the time. And we know when the ice is coming because we see all the Texas DPS and up and down our highway, and we'll see 15 of them in a 3-mile stretch. So, and it happens about twice a week now.
Oh,
Well, I heard that Abbott was had a whole bunch of land that he's got a facility they're being shipped there. Be held.
I don't know about that. I have no idea. I'll look into it, but I have no idea. I mean, I think they used to keep illegals before all this crap happened, and they came over in the millions. They used to keep them at what was formerly Kelly Air Force Base. And the reason I know that is because I had a babysitter when my little guy was little, a baby, and I would use her every once in a while. And she was through a service, and she was bonded and background checked and stuff. And they would pay her $50 an hour to sit there overnight to monitor these guys. And she said, they all say they're 15, 16, 17 years old. She goes, they're 30 all day long, but they have no papers, so you can't prove it.
Right.
And she would sit in there and babysit them all night long, $50 an hour paid by the state of Texas.
Wow.
Your tax dollars at work, folks.
Well, you
Mm-hmm.
definitely got to go live when you or record this or
I
Facebook
will.
Live something.
Yeah. I'll do a video. I'm not real sure how to do lives and where I would do that, Tiffany.
Hold on.
You know. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be new. It's gonna be new for all of us. We're gonna learn how to do it. We're gonna learn how to do it. I mean, this young mama, you know, does well to make $12, $13 an hour. You know what I mean? And it's horrific.
That's terrible. Does the little boy want to come live with his mom?
Yeah, the dad told him 2 or 3 days ago he didn't love him.
What?
Yeah, the dad, the illegal, told the little boy he didn't love him any at all. And this is the caveat: he just married another girl, and she's pregnant, and she's 19,
Wow.
and now he's what, 30, 29, 30 years old. Yeah, he's a real winner.
Well, it don't matter how many kids he's got. If he's illegal, he's getting deported.
Exactly. But here he is screwing up another girl's life, and he must say all the right things at the right times. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, he got her to marry him, and she was knocked up before they got married, I believe. And which I don't care one way or the other, right? But same thing's going to happen there to that little boy.
Yeah, because Trump.
And he's texting my little mama how much he misses her and wants to get back with her. And he's married to this other chick.
Well, it don't matter if he's married and got 500 kids in the United States. They're still getting rid of him.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But he's just that manipulative. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, he doesn't sound too smart to me. I don't know about y'all, but he don't sound too smart to me.
Oh, hold on a minute. Deidre, did you say that the House approved the parental rights bill? I just want to make sure. Because if that passed, that changes everything for CPS and the judges. Because that bill, if it's the one by Tim Scott, that means we have the right to sue them for wrongful removal of our children.
Sweet Jesus.
So I just need to get confirmation from her. Darren.
Okay.
Darren, see if Scott's parental rights bill passed.
Was it going in front of the House today?
Yeah, Deidre said, Tiffany, speak about what it means now that the House approved the parental rights bill.
Thank you, Jesus.
Oh, that's going to change the game. Oh my God, CPS. I said it before. They better start looking for new jobs, but it don't matter. Those signatures are on that paperwork.
Tiffany, we're going to get them on my case.
That's
first.
right. We're going to take everybody down.
Yep. And I'll do all that live. That'll be fun.
Gunner's got a case
I'm a
too.
little warped. I've been doing this way too long. Way too long. I'm a little warped.
That's all right. That's all right. That, you have to be a little warped and a little off a little bit to be doing this shit anyway.
Yeah.
Especially as long as you and I have been doing it.
Yeah, exactly. We keep going back and drinking.
I know, right?
I gotta get me a queen hat.
Yes, indeed, girl.
I love it. I can't stay on very long because I gotta help with some stuff with my
That's
child.
fine.
I love y'all. I will keep y'all posted. Keep up the good fight, everybody. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. It may be baby steps, but we're getting somewhere.
Well, go do your thing, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Love you too.
Love y'all.
Oh, Deidre, that was in New Hampshire, I believe. That parental rights bill that was passed was in New Hampshire. Yeah, I knew that he was ending sanctuary cities. Is your microphone on, Darren?
Yeah, it is now. It says here, I was wondering why you guys weren't listening to me. It says here, if there's no existing custody orders, both the father and mother have equal parental rights under Texas law. Texas Family Code 151.001 This means the mother can't just take the child without the father's agreement unless a court has granted her sole custody or there's an emergency situation, like evidence of immediate harm to the child. Either can file a suit affecting the parent-child relationship, a SAPCR, SAPCR, suit affecting the parent-child relationship.
Somebody's got to go get him. He's illegal. They're going to pick him up.
Courts focus on factors like child safety, stability, and the parent's ability to care for them, know whether someone is undocumented. There's no custody order. We need to act fast. You could file an emergency SAPCR petition to request, or you could file a temporary restraining order. What you mean can occur. The evidence in the child's well-being is an immediate risk.
Bring Gunner on. It looks like he wants to come on.
All right, let's see where he is.
I know
Is he
you know nothing.
Is he back here? I don't see him.
No, Gunner. Jump on.
The father wants to keep the child. He should avoid letting the mother take it. Oh, so this says if there's no custody order, if the father wants to keep the child, he should avoid letting the mother take the child without an agreement and consider contacting a family law attorney. This is a complex situation, and outcomes depend on specifics like existing court orders, which there's none of, or parents' history. Without more details, this is general guidance based on Texas law as of March 25th, 2025. If you meant something more, blah, blah, blah. So that's what this stuff is saying here. So we're gonna want to be careful a little bit, I guess. But like she said, who's gonna make a big deal about this? Who's gonna say anything about an illegal coming to take a kid out of a school? You know, like, oh, I'm here. Don't worry about it. No big deal. I'm just, taking this illegal stuff and leaving.
Gunner said, I'm stirring the pot. Hold on.
Oh gosh. Well, are we seeing your live streams with Obsidian? Yes, of course, Jonathan. We've seen you. What kind of question is that? You and your beautiful mug was on there the other day on Sunday.
And Deidre, no, I haven't seen the comments from your show last week.
No. And no, Deidre. I just wanted to say no to Deidre. I'm trying to look here. I mean, why can't we just go back to telling these, if they get the police involved, saying, "Lo, this is a civil matter"? Because, if this goes down with you and your husband, if you guys were in an argument, I don't know how it is in West Virginia, but if you guys were having an argument in your yard or whatever, the police, when they come there, they say, whoa, 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 man, we can't get involved in this custody battle because this is a civil matter. So we need to move on to something, like we can only enforce what's, blah, 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 blah. So why is it that when CPS comes around, that same mindset isn't being monitored or used? Why isn't that not why they're doing these things? It makes no sense.
Because they're their bodyguards. That's why.
Right. Yep, you're absolutely
You
right.
heard me tell the sergeant, and he was like, yeah, the only reason we're here is to protect her. And I said, I know.
Yeah, right. I know it is. Right. What else is possible? What else? What was?
I can't believe ICE hasn't picked them up, picked that dude up. Lewis said Susie and They need a show.
Control and power. Yes. Tell Darren to put in your chat. Our chat. Susie and I need a show. All right. Well, we can figure that one out. Obviously, if you guys think you got the grit and the gall to take it, then we can discuss it, and we'll go. Have Vinny get in touch with you guys, and then Vinny can screen you out, and we can see what we got going on. Vinny, put that in your notes, buddy. I know you're watching.
Yeah, he's watching.
So, and Deidre, if you want to talk to me, you need to talk to me from Vinny. Isn't that right, Vinny? Any conversation that needs to come to the Punisher has to go through Vinny first. So, and please stick to those guidelines, Deidre.
Leave Deidre alone.
All right, let's see what else does it say about this. I mean, what do you say? So this is typically what every parent dreams of coming up with is, why can't they just go and get their child from these places, right? Like, why can't they just go pick them up? So
Well,
essentially,
normally, if they're taken into custody, they don't send them back to their schools.
okay,
They put them where people don't know where they're at, so that you can't come and pick them up.
right,
Because if that was the case, everybody would be going to pick up their kids.
right. Well, I mean, is it that we're that like it's the void ab initio thing? Is it that we're that afraid just to go do it? And is it that you're afraid of being caught? Is it afraid of being caught? Maybe something bad, like you even could get killed because of a standoff or situation or something? Is it the fear of going to jail? Or is it the feel of failing and losing, and that's one more opportunity that you're back away from not having your kid back? Like, like I think there's a lot of the mental anguish that we feel as parents, is that every loss is a further step away from your child. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you think that you give it your all to write this motion or this file, this thing or whatever, and this could be it, but then you lose it, and you're like, man, it's like it takes so much out of you, once you lose it. So like, which one is it that people want to see the, you know what I'm saying? Which one is it? Where is it, Gunner?
What's going on, man?
No, I asked you the question. Which one is it?
Which one's what? Sorry. What's in the back? I got a couple other things. I'm focused now.
Yes.
That little ADHD.
I think it's everything, Darren. I think everybody just gets so they want to go do it, they get the nerve to go do it, and then when it's time to go do it, they back out.
I think the biggest thing for this is it's the lack of knowledge. It's the lack of knowledge of the people. It's a lack of knowledge between these administrative judges that have been trained not properly. They've done the good old boy system. They've just repeated the same thing. For a system to survive like that, the issue is the only way to do it, and they've been doing it, purging them one by one as they catch them. But the only way to do this is basically hang some stuff around their neck and get all these judges and magistrates held accountable for the crimes that they've done. Right. Treating you like property, which the state is doing, and looking you as as you a business, if you will, because that's what they rule under is corporate stuff and stuff like that, and they treat your children as commodities, and they want their cut, basically, is what it is. The big issue between that and the Constitution is the Constitution says, no, we are not slaves. We are not products of anybody. Matter of fact, we the people are the government. And the big misnomer of several things, I'll give you another example. You always hear this term, threat to our democracy. We don't have a democracy. We have a constitutional republic. Boom. We the people. Read the documents. That's not a democracy. Okay? Yes, you're able to vote, and we're able to. The idea as a constitutional public is that we elect our representatives to represent us, or the people in here. The problem is because of lobbying and backdoor deals and doing. I mean, this is nothing new. This, what's funny is the government, representatives and actors that they're catching, like just Judge Davis just last week, the crazy stuff from JD Vance, and that went crazy. They caught him with his Cayman Islands accounts. I mean, all this stuff it's greed. It's who can pay for what to align with, because I'm going to align my decisions based off of what makes me money. Well, what's the root of the problem? You're putting, once again, this is where the truth comes in of some of the biblical aspects, and let's say this right. The love of money is the root of all evil. Not money is the root of all evil. It's the love or lust of money. Here's the thing. We don't need money. Why? Because we've done it before. Any other time we could trade. Hey, I've got so many of these and you got so many of those. We used to call it trading. When you didn't have something to trade, then you had this backup thing of, well, I've got some cash or something of value that is valuable to you, that has a flat value. We'll just trade for that, and I'll get that in exchange for that. We weren't really supposed to be using money here in the United States. Actually, it was meant to do trade with other places that brought in their stuff. And then they bought our stuff, we bought our stuff, our stuff back and forth. And that was supposed to be managed as corporations. The biggest problem that you have with all of this, and they've slowly made all these little changes over time, but once again, they want to delete our history. They want to rewrite our history. They want to tear statues down. Why? There's the biggest question. Why? It's still part of our history, good or bad. This is what has made this country, is being able to learn from our mistakes and sometimes the mistakes of others to where we're better off. But that's not happening because greed got in the way. Power got in the way. It was, now we're on a world market. Why? Who was on a world market? Not us Americans. Corporations were trading internationally. It had business, money. Why? Because it meant more. It's all connected to that. But as far as you and I, hey, if I need something, hey, you want to trade? And here's the other thing: when you traded, there was no tax. Oh, see how they roped you in? Well, you've done this and that. I'm not a business. I'm an individual. I don't have to. I'm not subject to those matters. Now, you want to quit taking and paying tax on your food and everything else? Go to the farmers. Do a farm share. You want to do that? Get involved in those type of things. Make your own. Get your whole community back together. But see, that's what they don't want, is you to have your community back, because right now you don't even hardly know your neighbors or the people in your neighborhood. Do you? I got the tea. Just saying.
Yeah, the bar system.
Here's the other issue. We blew the story a long time ago of the state of Tennessee doing what they were doing. Matter of fact, that's how I met Dallas, as you guys know. And then I grew in a different direction than he did. My case took me somewhere else. My research took me somewhere else. He specialized in something else. He had a different perspective, and I understood that. So then I branched off, and like I said, where we ended up kind of landing here is because we had a lot of things we were lining up with. There was a lot more resources from that particular thing. Now, when we exposed all that stuff, everybody started scratching their head. Oh, it can't be this, it can't be that. But at the same time, it's like people just were slowly waking up. And now all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, is this true? Is this true? Because all this stuff that's coming to fruition right now, with the curtains being opened, if you will, is all those things that were called conspiracy theories. Bullshit. Now, you want to go back to say that we're having an issue, we'll say with a 3-letter agency. Well, there were several presidents that came out of that 3-letter agency. And there's a whole lot of history that goes from the JFK shooting all the way to where we are today. There's some history that goes on with that to connect the dots. And once again, this is like, oh, well, that's conspiracy. No, it's documented facts. As a matter of fact, it's what you're seeing today. And some of this stuff, why wasn't that released during the Reagan administration or even to the people back then? Why? Those people are probably all dead and gone. That's why they waited so long to release it, so they could get away with it. Come on. But you start lobbying these people that are over here instead of saying, you're my representative, right? You covered this district. What are the businesses and the people in this district? That's your responsibility, is to pull for them. But that's not who they're pulling for. It's who's got the most money. Hey, who can donate this? Who can donate that? And then they get political alliances. Hey, we'll let you come here to big corporations to build a factory here and do all this stuff. We'll give you tax incentives and all this stuff. Why? Just to bring people here. And it brings in jobs and everything else. But once again, we weren't designed for that. We were all designed to be independent contractors, which is why you stayed within usually a lot of trades and stuff, especially with your own family. You know, it was well known, so-and-so and sons, you know, this and that. We've been doing it for so many years. I mean, you can see a lot of that, but our world's also evolved with technology to where it was easy when there was, imagine a world, let's put it this way. And Tiff, I know you've experienced this, is you've got no TV, no radio, no, I'm just messing with you. You know, back in the dinosaur ages, none of that existed. You had newspaper and that was it. And you used to write letters to each other in far distances. There was no telephone. So then you had telephone that connected us a little bit more. Still had the newspapers, right? The stories, the perspectives. Spin that grew. Now all of a sudden, here's television. And I know this is a history lesson that most of you don't get, and hopefully this educates some of the younger ones, but a lot of people, maybe you didn't see it. Then the propaganda began to come through the television. Remember, because we remember a day when the people get on the news, you would have a thing called a commentary. This is what's going on, and this is my opinion, or the view that I see it. But they'd have to list it as that on the screen. This is, you know, my opinion. Now, then they mixed all that up and changed a bunch of things with the executive orders that then you could use propaganda on the people. Don't believe me? Go look it up. It's in there. Now the news stations, everything else, they're messing with your head, not telling you the truth. Now you connect that with the food market that's been poisoning us, of saying, hey, we're going to take and let's put it this way. And this is the way America does its food more than Europe, is America says we'll put whatever we want in the food. Until somebody actually gets sick, we're going to leave it in there. Europe says, no, we're going to test everything to make sure we're not guinea pigs. But here in America, we are. That's why you have corn syrup in there that is more deadly than sugar. A red dye 40, yellow number, this and that. Look at the side effects of those drugs over long term. And then imagine this, you take all that in your entire life, you don't know no better, right? Then you have kids. Now your kids are going to have side effects from those drugs you were on, which is why you've seen increases, and I'm going to say this, in ADHD, OCD, autism, and all these other things. It is not just the shots. It is a combination of several different things in your body that it is not man-made. It's not meant for you. They're done in a laboratory. Your body was not designed for that shit. Anybody that tells you anything otherwise, they're full of crap. That's why that stuff, even stuff they were given to promoting as healthy and weightlifters were using that, they're finding out a lot of those proteins and other stuff that they were taking, they had other ingredients in them. Hormones. Why do you think your girls are going through puberty so much? Hey, Tiff, here you go. You and Darren both. I mean, I'm Gen X. When we were in school, most of the girls, they didn't. There was one or two that did, but here's the other thing I noticed. They weren't from very wealthy homes. They were getting the government cheese. The government, now I'm not shaming them for that. I'm telling you what was in the food that caused an adverse reaction in your body.
Well, I'm telling you, they're putting it in the baby formula too, because my little 11-month-old granddaughter needs a training bra.
Mm-hmm. Well,
here's another one they don't tell you. Darren, were your kids born naturally, or did you have them cesarean? Wife have them cesarean?
He didn't hear you. Okay, I had 4 natural births.
4 natural births. When you gave birth, push the baby out, umbilical cords there, did they leave that connected until the placenta fell out and was completely dried up, or did they trim it?
They trimmed it and then it came out.
Cut it, tie it. Baby comes out. Yep. Baby comes out. Snap, snap, trim, trim, gone. Wrong. That baby needs every bit that's in that umbilical cord and in that placenta until it dries up.
Wow.
You are robbing your child of essential programming. That's the basis block that it's getting fed, brain food, this, that, all that's downloading. That's your download central. But what do? They take it so they can experiment on it and turn it into other drugs for big pharma. They make money off your placenta.
Well, it's
Ladies.
not, wait a minute. It's not just drugs. It's in shampoo. It's in makeup. It's in
Yep.
dog food. Anything that says human protein is a placenta.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Guys, they're robbing your baby. What does that mean when your baby doesn't get everything it's supposed to be, what it needs when it's born, the way that, I'm sorry, the creator designed it? You've just robbed your baby. Why is your baby so sick? But who's doing it? The hospitals, the doctors,
The government.
the same ones that are pushing the meds. Hold on. Same ones making the meds. And how much does a doctor make? The hospitals make profit off of those. Private practice, they get those. They got their own. I mean, there's some doctors in the beginning, they had birthing centers and they was taking out the placenta. He was making a killing. Till the hospitals started taking on, oh, you can't do that in private. You got to do it this way or that way. You're starving the baby, though. It doesn't have what it needs in antibodies. Doesn't have the rest of the programming. It doesn't have the genotype. All that needs to come out. You can actually, they don't tell you this, but you can request that. Then they won't have no viable thing. Now, one thing you're going to do if you do a side by side, I'd love to see the comparison on that, is the same situation, the same bill, and whether or not they discounted the bill for the woman that gave up her placenta and or charged the person that drained all of it completely out more because there's no profit. I'd really like an investigation into that, because you sure as hell ain't getting it off the bill, are you?
Well, no.
Are
When
you?
I had my first daughter and the afterbirth came out, I was like, what do you do with that? She said, why do you want it? Some people take it home and use it as fertilizer. I'm like, no.
It's a combination of things that has been going on for a long time. And now the light is turned on, the curtain is coming back, and we are slowly seeing so many things that work. Guys, you're not seeing one at a time. I mean, at the week's end, go back and look at what happened just in that 1 week. Just 1 week. It blows your mind how much they've uncovered and what they've done and what they've exposed and the whole 9 yards. And it's going to keep going. And that's why it's not just one side of the aisle. So's the other one's getting a little nervous because they've been dipping. And when now this is just federally. Once they come to find out what some of the states are doing, oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. So it's a whole different, I mean, and that's what I try to inform everybody. Don't feel so bad. They have stacked the system against you. You've been in slavery. You have been. You've been enslaved. And all they're doing is why are you complaining? You're not getting anywhere. Funny, when the slave masters took the children of the slaves, nothing was done, was it? Oh, we're now making some connections. And then you find out all this other stuff. How free were you? Wait, states are passing law, and then states, and I'm going to go out there for everybody. States have, our state law. Hey, Tiff, does your state have any laws?
Statutes and codes. Rules and regulations, ordinances, no laws.
But wait a minute. There's only one law because of the supremacy clause of the Constitution. That's the only law of the land. Everything else is bullshit. That's what everybody's taking and coming awake to. Wait a minute. Remember a while ago, remember when we came on the show and I told you that case law, that turnaround or that decision, that USC code that says all rules and regulations are what? For government only and not for the people, because what? It's lacks due process and is unconstitutional. That means anything your state has been throwing at you, and we're not kidding. This is not one of those shows. This is the law. That's what the states are breaking, and that's what is slowly peeling back. We're going to clean up the federal government, but the state government, it directly affects. Why? There's no money. We've cut your throats on all this stuff. Guess what? It's gone. There's none. Now what are you going to do? Now there's all these people and no work and nobody's feeding the fish. Now what are they going to do? Completely turn on the people? I don't think so. Because how are you going to get a hold of anything when they realize it takes a judge to take a kid or something like that? What if you got no judges left in the state? Guess you ain't taking
Nope.
a kid. And mark my word, and all the judges, I know people watch this show. Tiff, I know they watch this show, my show. I know they watch my show. Matter of fact, we've had record numbers on Gunning for CPS on Sunday at 9:30 every week, Eastern Standard Time. That's right. And like and follow both this show and our show and get notifications on YouTube. It'll let you know when we're going live. And you're going to want to have that going live part, especially for Gunning CPS and this whole channel. There's going to be some major news coming out. Darren, what do you think? Next week? The week after? Where are we
I
at
think
there,
you
buddy?
lost Darren.
You lost him? Okay. Well, I think I noticed that Darren's been a little overworked. Darren's got a medical condition, guys. So I noticed when he's doing that, one of the things he's asked from some of us is that when he's seems to struggle a little bit, step in for him. You know, we're kind of covering each other. And he knows I got a big mouth anyway. Tiff. Oh God. Oh, I gotta, one will share the story. I know we're about
That's
an
all right. Go
hour in
ahead.
here. But hey, I'm originally from the Chicagoland area. We have got an artist from Chicago that is even writing songs to include yours truly right here because of what we're doing up into the Chicagoland area and what we've revealed. And it's winning kids back. It's getting cases. They're going into federal court like we've told them, losing jurisdiction, everything else. And then looking at these judges. And when he was talking about that earlier, what do? Well, if you got constitutional rights violations, especially entering your home without a thing, you look that judge square in the eye and you turn around and says, you no longer have jurisdiction. There is a constitutional rights violation of the Fourth Amendment, such as entry or whatever it is. And I shouldn't even be in court and I'm changing jurisdictions. And you now no longer have any power. You strip the judge or magistrate of power immediately. Why? I am changing jurisdictions. This is your formal notice. And I have 30 days to file. That means your judge or magistrate cannot legally do anything or proceed forward, anything with your kids or anything for 30 days, but you have 30 days to get it in federal court, file it properly. So make sure you're lined up and don't pull the trigger too quick before you say something because you've got that marker, then they come back in. Then it's harder to get into federal court. Okay. File in the right court, find the right people, the right resources. Make sure you're getting in the right place. And when you take and file that, they have no power. And if they try any bullshit, once you're assigned a judge at the federal, all you have to do is notify the judge that they're continuing, and that judge will drop sanctions and contempt of court on your state judge in a heartbeat. They don't play with that stuff. Okay? They don't play. And right now they're sifting out even the federal judges. You know, Davis went down, and if you listen to the testimony and stuff that J.D. Vance has, there were 7 others on that yacht little meeting, wasn't there, that he said, did you catch that? 7 more? Uh-oh. Now, the other thing we tell you guys too is watch your paperwork. Make sure it's legit. I know Darren's working on the website. We got to make sure you guys are educated. For any court order or warrant, it cannot be auto pen. It has to be blue or black ink UC. Okay. You'll notice the difference in the font and everything. They cannot use auto pen whatsoever. That's national news. Okay. Look back through your old orders, everything. You've got those. They're not valid. Then you can make a motion for fraud upon the court. Why? Because that is not valid. Okay. That's an act of fraud by the judge. It's not legit. It's not legal. The other thing you look for, the seal by the court clerk. Now, the court clerk's the only power a court clerk has to do is to record and put it on the record. That's the only power they do. They do not have the power of a judge or magistrate and cannot issue a warrant or a court order. It must be done by a judge or magistrate. Bottom line, there's no comparison for that. Okay. The other thing is the signature of the court clerk on there. Now, if you've got a warrant, you got to pay attention to this. Okay. You have a warrant. There's a spot on there on who testified before the judge or magistrate, and they must have firsthand experience. Now, Tiff and I had talked. Tiff had called me earlier in the week, and I had somebody reached out to him and asked him about his case. It's not really a CPS case, not yet, that particular thing. It's more of a divorce. He said he wanted a divorce, left to go get a sandwich or a pop or something to cool off, de-escalate, comes back. They're putting him in handcuffs for domestic violence and a warrant and the whole 9 yards. Goes to jail, has to have somebody from out of state come in and pay and post his bond to get out of jail. Then they finally went to, now understand too, he was screaming for a magistrate the whole time. Take me before the magistrate. Refused to do it. Okay. Now, then they go to the grand jury to try and indict him. And it's thrown out. Why? Because it's all hearsay. There's no evidence of anything. In other words, and I tell people this with divorce or kids or anything, you can call CPS out on everything else as hearsay. They don't have firsthand knowledge. Show me the firsthand knowledge that you have proof of that firsthand knowledge, because your word is not good enough according to any court. It's called hearsay, and it works for both sides. Okay? So we went back and examined his documents because it seemed like a messed up situation. And the way he told it was he got that warrant awful fast. And then I asked him what time of the day, and I go, there's no way he got a warrant that fast. I said, now go look at it. I said, it's got the seal on it. He goes, yeah, it's got the seal. It's got the, the court's signature. The officer swore to the, and here's the other problem. I said, where's the judge or magistrate signature? He said, there isn't one. That's an illegal arrest warrant. That is a cop and a court clerk conspiring to deprive you of your constitutional rights. And here's the other thing you need to, and I told him, I said, get used to these words. I was falsely arrested. I was then kidnapped. I was then held hostage until my person came in and paid my ransom. Oh, you see how that sounds coming? And that's them doing that to you. Now, if somebody else did that and did that to a little girl or a family member or this or that and did that, that's a serious felony crime, isn't it? But see how you just changed the words and what CPS uses on you too? They twist it. Listen, you got to learn to twist that shit back. How you like that? Oh, Tiff's over here smiling because I know Tiff's twisted that shit back at him. Oh, really? Let's see what you got. Because I know it ain't shit. I can hear Tiff right now. Right? Go get him, Tiff. Bulldog off it. Take her off the chain. Let her go. Just let her go. They'll wear out eventually. And that's the whole thing. So, dude, you got falsely arrested. And here's the thing, because it wasn't substantiated and it was a domestic violence, you now can take and have her arrested, okay, for a false statement because it was unfounded. There was nothing to get there. The cops should have, here's the other issue. Before he got arrested, they should have went to a grand jury. Because you're supposed to go before a magistrate and then nothing's supposed to happen to you. And they threw here. But it was, you got to, it's like, well, it's domestic violence. It sounds like, you see how this got twisted? And like I said, that's how you twist that stuff. Well, wait a minute. Officer so-and-so, it says here you signed for the warrant saying I had firsthand experience. You want to tell me the date, times, recording? Because I'm going to take your word for it. I mean, I want dates and times and everything. Where do you have the proof? Because you swore before, well, not really a judge or magistrate, before the court clerk, that this was legit. And you put this man in handcuffs. I go, that's a federal case. And I told him to go take his evidence from there because they had to delay his, because she also put a temporary restraining order on him. So they delayed the hearing. And let me tell you how bad this was. So this guy paid a private attorney, I believe it was about $25,000 or more. And the only thing he did was push that custody hearing or that temporary restraining hearing off until he got cleared of the criminal case. It was the only thing, from my understanding, that was done, and took all his money. Now, hold on, we're going to deal with this, and I know we're running over a little bit, but this is important. What it comes down to is he goes, I'll never see that money again. I says, no, you realize everything I just told you Your counsel, how did he not catch that? That's called ineffective counsel. You can now sue him for what he did. And once you reveal what you've got, he don't stand a chance in court. Don't stand a chance in court. Why? Because you're suing your lawyer. Because you paid him money and he did not provide the services he said he would. You have a clear, you're telling me he looked at the warrant and said that that was a legit warrant? I know it's not, but you have a bar attorney that doesn't know the fucking difference? Are you kidding me? Ugh. I guess we're getting the sign. But guys, that's why you got to check your documents. Okay? Make sure you're checking your documents. This is very important, and know your documents, because this could happen to you, is the point. They could show up to take your kids and throw something in front of your face, and if you don't know how to read it, they're just going to do what they want to do. And it has been recorded several times. I know Darren's heard about it. I know Tiff's heard about it. Them falsifying court orders and or warrants to steal your children. No, knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, Chief.
Well, I've been reading about this thing for tomorrow, and I'm going to go ahead and say that maybe it's a roll with caution, because there's a lot of things can come of this if she just goes and takes that child. A lot of bad things.
Yeah. Guys, you got to work smarter. Understand this is psychological warfare, entrapment. It's everything else. And I understand you guys are in hard places, but listen, don't trust me when I say, and I'm sure Darren feels pretty confident, and I know Tiff and a few others, just wait. There's more to come. And there's more coming out and more coming out. And once things actually pop, everybody's going to go, holy, yep, game over, checkmate. And don't think for 1 minute when you put all the things that have been going on lately that, oh, that doesn't make sense. Why is he here? What? You know, it's real easy, Darren. I had this little conversation with Ben earlier. You know, if DOGE is actually in Social Security, done the restraining order and everything else, and has full access to the books, that means that they could get numbers for this year, last year, and the others for that. Every state done, and even itemized case by case. I wonder if they're prepping for something. I know nothing.
Or are they, or are they, are they getting rid of things?
Well, yeah, they are getting rid of things. It's called the waste and all the other bullshit and the scams and the double thing. Listen, you know what's funny about what I'm hearing, Pop? I'm over here just going, I go, you know, the mob did this shit and you FBI fuckers took it out. I guess somebody looked at it and said, hey, that's a good idea. The mob was getting away. We can do the same thing. Shell companies, this, that, money laundering. They copied the damn mob.
That they hit with RICO cases.
No shit. But because I work for the government, I can get away with it. We ain't gonna mention no names. You know, insider trading, Nancy Pelosi. What? All of that is coming out, guys, and they're calling for a common sense thing of saying you should not be able to do this because you're not representing the people, which you were elected to do, not special interest groups, not corporations, not this. It's for the people. It's to restrain the businesses and the reach of government, that the reason you're there is to help protect us so they don't do something stupid, which is why EPA was there and this was there. Those were for businesses. And what did they do? They put it on your car, didn't you, in some states, didn't they? Oh, but wait, that's a private vehicle, not a commercial. You can apply it to commercial, but not private. Why are they having a stink about that? Oh, well, you have to have this plate and last plate. Here's a little story. Did you know you didn't have to have a state plate? You can go straight to the U.S. Department of Transportation and get your plate that has no state affiliation, and it's 100% legal because your vehicle is placarded, which a lot of states say that's what's needed. It has to, and it all traces the same. The only difference is you're on the government system, the main one. Why not? I'm not on a state system. I'm going to go with this. But once, were you told that? I bet you weren't informed on that decision, were you? You just ride along. Well, that's just what we do. Hey, when you go down and get your car title and everything else, so you get a certificate of title. Why don't you get an allodial title? You bought it, you own it, but now we're going to tax you on it because you registered it with the state to be a form of commerce. But you got to have the right, these guys that are losing, you got to have the right thing in the right place to even make the argument.
That's very important.
Same thing with this.
That's very important, making sure that you align your arguments up into the proper places.
Back yo shit up. You ever notice that guy? You ever watch that guy that does that thing with pull over? I'm just Joe Kokomo from da 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 da. You know what that guy's got? And there's other guy with a cowboy hat. He's got a binder that sticks with him. Here's the case where I won in federal court that I kicked your ass in another state for the same shit. Here's this. Here's that. Here, I'll bury you in paperwork. You want to file? Because now I'm going to file over here. And here's my fee schedule. When you know what you're doing, oh, hell yeah, you can chase the judge down after you get done because they pulled you over and done all those things, not just pulling you over, several things. Prove it. Prove you have the authority or you own. And there's only certain states you can do allodial titles for now. Because why? The state owns the property. You are leasing the property. That's why you're paying property taxes. They're going to claim it a lease. Unless you get the allodial title. Now it's private land.
But that's what we were saying earlier. Why isn't the birth certificate that? Why is the birth certificate not considered that?
Because you got a birth certificate, and where did they put your feet first?
Well, that's the certificate
on the
That's
paper?
the certificate of live birth. Let's put that stuff aside, the ship and the boat and the spaceship and all that stuff. Let's just put aside if you have
there's a lot of legal to it.
Well, there is if you are into that hokey pokey. But in the sense of this is, what about the birth certificate? Why is it that if you don't possess, like, why don't they ask for your birth certificate when your child is taken, when your parental rights are terminated? Why do you not have to turn in your birth certificate of that child? Why should you not have to turn that over like you do with your car when you surrender your car title? Why don't you have to turn in that birth certificate?
Because it's on county record. It's filed. It's not yours. It's open to the public. Did you know that you can go in there and ask for just about any original birth certificate or anything for?
Of course you can. Of course you can. For a fee, that stuff. But what I'm saying is why wouldn't these documents act the same? Like, why couldn't you just go and say, look I have the birth certificate. It's right here. That's my kid. Prove me wrong. Because all you have is an order from a judge that they're now saying are not authoritative. They're not legal. They're no nothing. So all you have is a decision that some judge rendered on you, but you've still got the birth certificate in your hand. If me and you, if you sold me a car, we can't find that bill of sale, and I have the title to the car. Guess what? The car is still mine. Or the car is mine, and vice versa. But you know what I'm saying? I have that title. So why is it, or is it really that simple, and no one's even just tried to do that?
Well, it's possible. Once again, is it possible? Yeah, I think if the courts were cleaned up and actually acknowledged the law the way the law is, but you got to overcome that hurdle.
Well, I mean, we've all tried our shares and for a long time of being in that circle, but. I think maybe that's something to look into a little bit more. A long time, man. This is so simple. This is so simple. I bet you we've overcomplicated this issue. I'm telling you, right? Just slap you in the head. Like we just missed something. Like, wait, we should just go and say, "Here's my class."
Let's look at it this way. Let's do a comparison, Darren. Who doesn't have to have a social security card and all that other stuff? The Amish don't. The Amish don't have to register anything. They don't have a social security card, a driver's license, any of that stuff.
Not even their wagons.
No, not even their wagons. All that stuff. That stuff is free and clear. They are their own community. Here's another example. Any type of Native American land. U.S. laws don't apply to U.S. Native American lands that are going for there. You're on the res rules. Bottom line, and unless they've done something to affect that treaty that they have where the federal government can come in, but no state government can go on res land legally because the res will stop them, and there's a lot of history of them overstepping. And there's a lot of history too of the U.S. government going in and experimenting on tribals and several others. Trust me, it's out there. There's the Tuskegee Project, and several others that were done. I mean, these things are the stuff that human experimentation, man. It's cruel. And this is our history, but where do we learn from it? Stop. Don't do it no more.
Right.
I mean, there's the problem. Learn from it, but the problem is it looked at it and they said it's too profitable. Why do you think that the Clinton administration gave the incentives under an executive order to increase funding to CPS, as well as the Obama administration gave this and that? Those are on record, guys. That is a 100% fact in the executive orders. You just got to look for them. It's not hard. A lot of this stuff is because it has wordplay. That's the whole. There's the other thing. Darren was talking about a certificate of live birth versus a birth certificate. They're two different documents. Mm-hmm. And they're classified as two different documents. Why? Because they wanted it to. and that's what they want. They want the enslavement. You're seeing the enslavement, and they're using those things. That was your Social Security when it was first founded was guaranteed. It was guaranteed by the president of that time. It'll not be used to take and traffic people or keep eyes on people. Bullshit. Because unless you're a security card or a W-9, you are restricted to not be in the work environment whatsoever. They will not give you a job. Either as a subcontractor or as an employee. You don't have those, you don't have the right to work. That nobody ever thought about that one, did you? So they force you into the system to survive. When what we really should have done is said, Louis, become Amish? No, I don't want to become Amish. I want to live as a free American under the Constitution of the United States, as I was guaranteed, and to shake off these chains of tyranny that the states have done, and these other agencies that have self-empowered themselves and overstepped the Constitution. I just want to live by the Constitution, the way it's done and the way it's interpreted, no in between. Stop all the bullshit with the Second Amendment. It's in there. You don't like it, don't do it. Just that simple.
Right.
Fourth Amendment. You motherfuckers, stay the fuck out of our homes. Because here's the other thing. If we knew about our Second Amendment, as soon as you come across that door and you don't have it and we knew how to do it, guess what? You lost your immunity and you're no more than a common criminal. You know what happens with a breaking and entering? I defended myself. Well, he works for the state or he works for the sheriff. So that don't mean shit. Once you get past this threshold, according to the Constitution, it don't mean jack. I'm going to splatter just like I would anybody else creeping in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Why? Will they have problem? No, they don't. Imminent danger. Well, if there's imminent danger, if people say, and they get away with this shit. Well, it did this. There was possibly imminent danger. What's the number one rule for a police officer to take and do? And this one Herbert I know would answer is turn around. What's the requirement when there's imminent
life or
danger?
death?
Well, once again, what's your number one rule as far as your training? Call for backup. Imminent danger. They have to radio it in. There's a record of it. If there's no record of it, there's no imminent danger. There's the evidence. Everything else is hearsay, guys. Even for a cop, unless you have the hard evidence and the thing to back it up. Did you call in for backup? No. Then obviously there was no imminent danger. Well, he didn't have time. Didn't have time from the time he walked to his car to here to even back up, to radio it in for backup because there was an issue, or going in, got this, and that. Imminent danger. They have to radio that in by law. By law. Either for their policies, procedures, and codes. They must. If not, it is a Fourth Amendment violation of breaking and entering. And, the same thing with a lot of other things changes. Well, let me give you another hint. Some of you live in states that marijuana is legal either medically or recreationally. Okay. Some states don't have that. They have Delta 8 and Delta 10, stuff like that. They're like spinoffs. Okay. Now, I've seen this used, and I'm going to say this, even in a case, somewhere that, I'm aware about, A cop pulls over, a little swerving. Well, we pulled you over. Why? Because we're this and that. Who was I going to harm? Property, that's proposed, but nothing's happened. Well, we're trying to, you can't do that. You're not supposed to react until after there's a crime. The preventative stuff is an illegal stop. It's an illegal stop, search, and seizure. Then the thing of, oh, well, I smell marijuana. Guys, in this day and age, then officer, I want to know which one it is. THCA, THCB, or THCC, and your dog. And I want the certification to say they can tell the difference between the three. They can't. The only way you can do it now with the technology that's out there, and this is what I'm not saying for people to get away with it. It's just, it's abused so much by so many people. Prove to me with your reasonable articulated suspicion that you want to pull me out or pull me out of my car or anything like that because you smell weed. Now, officer, how are you going to back that up if there's not a puff of smoke or you have a visual of something or this, that's hearsay. And then sometimes they call for backup and then they escalate. They don't de-escalate. And then somebody ends up getting hurt because, hey, this is illegal. And you have a citizen fighting for something that's actually legal. I've not put anybody in harm's way. I was just driving. There was nothing around as far as a traffic accident. You give me you come up with an excuse, and then you come up with this thing for weed, and it's like, well, how are you going to test that? And here's another little secret. You know what else they found out? A lot of your state testing methods can't tell the difference between A, B, and C. That there's a very extensive, very expensive test that is the only thing admissible in court, because if you challenge their methods, what are they going to do? They don't know the thing, and it's been done. Well, who's been doing it? The hemp associations across every state. Tell me the difference. And they've been disproving their testing methods, saying this is not admissible in court.
Well,
You're going to have to pay for the expensive one.
Here in Virginia, a lot of people have been winning their cases against these dogs that are supposedly alerting to these drugs because the handler knows the words to tell them to make them signal.
That's right.
Yep. And if you record that, which you are able to record an officer in the midst of it, I would like a recording of everything else, including the officer and the dog. I want to see the body language. I want to be able to do this and say why, because that's the command. And then you're going to have to go back to that dog. And then here's the other thing you can do. If it goes down there, subpoena his training, his certification, and what his trigger words are. And then you listen for those trigger words for the cop giving the thing for that. You have every right to subpoena that because it was used against you. But you got to know where to look. You got to know, this is where knowledge is power. But your hey, how much public education did that help to get you know any of this shit? And I guarantee you there's some of you out there that can't even read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in its original format in calligraphy. Now, what's the difference between cursive and calligraphy? Come on, Tiff. Back in school.
I'm in dinosaur ages. I can tell you that the words were spelled wrong.
Cursive is the basics of learning the big swoops, the proper things. Calligraphy is making it your own. In other words, giving it your own touch. That's why they say no two signatures are the same. That's calligraphy. And it's fat here, it's this here, and there's different styles. And that depended on their hand. They don't teach you that anymore, which is why you see the way the swoops and whoever wrote it, no two people are going to write it the same in cursive, especially the more you relax, you're going to do it. You don't believe me? Guess who does a lot of writing all day? Your doctors. Can you read that shit?
My stepdad was a doctor.
Bam.
It looked so bad one time. My teacher swore up and down that I signed that report card because it's scribbled.
Oh, yeah. Same thing with my kids too. I turn around and I go, my stuff's on the bank. It's on my company documents. It's on this. It's on that. And I've gotten calls. Well, we think your son did this or that, or your daughter. I go, no, I signed it, and that's my signature. I says, I appreciate the call. I says, but don't you look through all the other documents that should be in her file and the things I've signed to even compare it? Because I do it all the same. And that's one thing we're going to have to start teaching at home is cursive, is teaching your kids how to read and write in cursive, guys. Because it used to fall. Now, was this the same format for you guys? We did like plus and minus, and you learned to print. But when you went to division, and multiplication, you started working on your cursive. Is
Yes.
that you guys have that same format? Okay.
Well, they're bringing cursive back.
Well, they have to. Actually, it's a crime
You know
because
why
they
they
actually.
did it? I asked my brother-in-law because before he became a senator, he was a teacher. And he said that the United States did this test with some people in Japan, but
Mhm.
what they didn't realize was the people that they did this test with in Japan were like the smartest, they were geniuses, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
What a little country to country
they took it,
composition. Oh, they're average students. No, they're fucking geniuses.
so they took cursive out, and he said now they realize that they use the smartest of the smart over there, and now they're literally bringing it back little by little because that was stupid to take it out to begin with.
Well, let me justify what I said earlier, and this is why. This is and this is one of the smart things Donald Trump actually insulated the federal government against and actually put it on the states with eliminating the Department of Education. Is because here's why, and it goes back to the states. Because the lawsuits that are getting ready to come out of the amount of citizens that do not know how to read the original documents and took federal funding is an actual felony crime, and nobody's connected it yet. You have actually committed an act of omission, and you've actually committed an act of treason and sedition to sway a whole generation across the thing. And when people get that thing together and get their brains together and go, wait a minute, they're going to start suing the schools because now every student that cannot write or read cursive has a legitimate federal lawsuit against your school district because they failed to educate you and yet they took federal funding. Federal
Mhm.
funding guarantees that part of that guarantee was to educate you or at least to have you the ability to read the original documents of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. If not, they come up with excuses. Well, everything's computer now, everything's this and that. Hey, Darren, let's go over this legally. Um, what's actually legal in a courtroom or what's binding? A original document or a copy of a copy?
The original.
Mhm.
The original document, right? So if you don't know how to read your original document, how are you supposed to know what your rights are? And they got federal funding to do it. When you guys connect all the dots of what's going on, you've got hellified lawsuits. You know how many every school district would go bankrupt if you guys started filing suits like that. Seriously. And it's legal. And 100%, you could prove it. Why? Just get all the kids the rest of the grade and just start calling them and have them read and write or hand them something that they can read. Ask their parents, put them on the stand. Put that before a kid. No, they don't understand. They can't read that. And then look at the documents. I mean, I had to go through it with my son, the way he was signing his. I go, here's the other thing. When you can't write in cursive, oh, Darren's going to love this one. Hey, when you can't write in cursive, you can't enter into any legally binding contract. Oh, shit. Who just
Mhm.
dropped it? If you cannot sign your name, not print it, sign your name. That's the whole thing with the ink and everything else. You have to be able to sign, as they say, you're John Hancock. If you can't do that, you can't legally get into contract. Now, Tiff, what things are contracts that we would get into as growing up into as adults? Give
Well,
me some
there's a
examples.
well, there's a lot of them, but I want to go back to that point real quick. I went
Okay.
to sign something, right? And I was always used to print, sign, right? Well, I went and it said print and print. I said, "Excuse me, what is this?"
Mhm.
I said, "I
It's
can't
not a legal document.
I can't do anything with this."
They have a scapegoat now because now the contract you've signed or said you've gone into, you've not legally signed it, and they're going to hold it over you where they have it. Nope. And Jonathan, for Canada, yes, it is. That is the same for all legal documents internationally. They must be signed and no auto pen and all that other stuff. And you have to be able to, yes, write in cursive to do it because that is considered your signature. Your words printed out is print your name. That is not your signature. Legally, in Black's Law Dictionary, there is a difference between your signature and print your name. The reason they said print your name the way that came up with originally was for it was so damn sloppy because of the calligraphy. Not everybody could read the fucking thing. That's how that started. Now
My
they've
handwriting's
see how,
bad.
right, but like you said, Tiff, look at one little change they've made. Now, how legal is that document? It's not.
That's why I
That's
can't
the
do anything with
difference.
this.
Well, and here's the other thing. What else can't you get? You can't get a loan from a bank.
Can't get a driver's
You can't.
license.
You can't sign your social security card. Therefore, who doesn't? Then you don't have access to, or what? You're not signing part of that as being that. There's no binding agreement. Uh-oh. The other thing you can't do, you can't buy a house. You can't open a
Can't get a
bank
bank
account.
account.
None of it's legal. None of it's legal.
Nope.
You can't enter. You cannot enter into private or public contract without a signature. Guess what? Now who you're on? You're stuck on the government tit the rest of your life. You're stuck on government. Congratulations, you've just been enslaved by taking away an ability, by omission, not by adding to and being blatant. It's by omission. There's the things you got to look out for, especially in a lot of these codes and everything else. Is what does it omit, especially when you're looking at legal documents? Is not only what it says, but also what it omits. And there's a lot of wiggle room in that. That's where they get a lot of the loopholes. But once they start closing the loopholes, well, I can't use that here because it clarifies it over here. That's what you got to watch for, especially, and you got to make sure you got a great judge writing a good summation, making sure it's airtight, and it's not nothing that's going to bite you in the butt or get flipped or reversed later. Because understand too, even though you win your case, the state it also gets an appeal. Even in federal court, they have the opportunity to appeal, but then it just goes over procedural to make sure everything was followed and the law was followed. It's basically a review. Now, one thing I think they ought to do for that is I think they ought to have a checks and balances for these administrative. If they ever bring them back, I'm just going to say that, is have somebody from another state just go into a pool that it's just random with a computer system. It's blind. It's a what they call a double blind. Submit your case and start doing case reviews. That way, everybody is getting double checked, including constitutionality, as far as what's going on. That's the first thing that definitely needs to be checked. And I think that needs to be done by a federal agency that's through the judicial system that is doing a constitutional audit of all rulings. I believe they should be submitted that way and then gone down to make sure that it administered to whatever the state is. But I believe it should originate in the federal government and be actually gone through automatically before that ruling is considered final. And what it does and everything, well, that takes the power away from the administrative judges. They don't have any power. You understand that, right? They're only supposed to be mediating. That's it. Coming to negotiations, to fair to close out contracts, this and that. They don't have that power. It's only under the federal power that can do that. And that's the big issue we have now is a lot of these codes, policies, procedures, and statutes are very, very unconstitutional. And unless you have a watchdog group or something, they should have been doing it. But I think we need oversight, but I think we also need private oversight, looking over this constantly, even private contractors as well. Going through the constitutionality of these things, even under review after it's made a decision. So you've got three people actually looking at the case to make sure it's legit. I think it's the only way that it can be fair.
I also think if people read their constitution and understood how to work their constitution, they could look at these codes and statutes and whatever BS and clearly see if it was in violation or not. Because I can look at one and be like, that's unconstitutional. You can't enforce this.
Well, and the big issue for that is with a judge is they're supposed to remain neutral, but they're also supposed to know the Constitution to call out both sides for bullshit. Is basically what it is. That's why they're supposed to be there. I mean, and that's a federal judge. Understand the lower ones, they don't do that at all. The idea is keeping constitutionality and then presenting your evidence, including some of the case laws to wade through this, but we understand the Constitution is the way that's there. And here's the other thing, you shouldn't even be in these courts. Why? because those codes that your state is trying to penalize you under are unconstitutional. They lack due process because why? They knew about these. That's exactly why they put that in there, because that's what's happening. They're not having juries like they're supposed to. They're having, well, it's a civil criminal code. It's still a criminal code. It requires the criminal statute. It doesn't matter if it's civil or it's still criminal with that classification. I know a lot of guys, people out there have been getting, well, I've been through CPS and then they put on a criminal code in the civil courtroom. Did you get a trial by jury? Well, no, the administrative judge, the GLs, and nope, that's a violation of your constitutional rights under due process. It was a criminal code and it must meet the standard of criminal prosecution. And that includes what? An indictment before a grand jury. So that means CPS has screwed up so bad to violate due process, because you should have never had anything. And yes, civil, that's between contract. But as soon as you switch over, and a lot of these courts are doing that, over to criminal civil codes, guess what? You just violated the constitutional rights. And on top of it, now you have no jurisdiction. There's the other part. But they're proceeding without it. There's the problem. These administrative state judges are off the hook. They are power drunk, and the only thing they're supposed to do is mediate these things. Like when you get divorced and all this other bullshit that's going on, I'm sorry, unless you have a document of a true domestic violence case, and instead of this hearsay shit, show me the pictures, show me the bruises, show me the medical reports. You've got to have done something. Unless you walk in and she just, something's beat to a pulp. Well, now we've got something to, but this hearsay shit that some of these states are doing, and I hate to say this, lawyers are telling women, especially in divorce, to say this. And those attorneys that say that and actually instruct their thing, that is a criminal act to do that. Let me explain that. And understand, when this goes down with everything else, if your lawyer has done that to you, you need to report that immediately, that was done, that you were just taking the advice of your attorney, if that's the case. But once again, you were angry and everything else, and they were giving you opportunity to what? Manipulate the situation, steal a kid from our, listen, you guys have got two different things, but that kid deserves both fucking parents. Get your feelings out. I don't care if you've divorced each other, if you've cheated on each other, unless you've killed somebody and you're off in fucking jail, something crazy, even then they can go for visitation. But both parents are very it's been psychologically proven, both parents are needed. Whether you like them or not, figure something out. And I'm just going to say it to everybody out there. And I'm going to tell this because I see this a lot with the younger generation. Grow the fuck up. Be a fucking adult and think of somebody else besides yourself. And that's both men and women. And think about that fucking child for a second. Whatever you have in between that partner, that's fine, but you are responsible, both of you, for that child and the upbringing of that child. And you need to prepare them to live in a world where you're not going to be there to protect them. But for them to not even have a safe place that they can call home or two homes, guys, this has got to stop. And the other thing that you go away with, and I'm just going to say it, and because the states did it and they're making profit, is uncontested divorce. I believe it needs to be completely obliterated. I think you should have a legitimate reason to go in for a contested divorce. Other than that, you're lazy. Well, we just don't get along. You should have figured that shit out now. Guess what? You know what? Here's the other part. We all fucking went through it. If you think your shit's so fucking bad and this and this and that, there's somebody out there that's done the same thing and still together. It doesn't matter. Well, we're about our happiness. Listen here. And this is the other thing I'm going to say, and agree, disagree. Your happiness is your responsibility and nobody else's. Bottom line.
Facts.
And for you to put that on another person, shame on you. He doesn't do this enough, but what does he do? Have you got it that bad? Because here's the thing that women are waking up to getting divorced. Oh, they have a good time, party, and do this and that. And then all of a sudden, where's all the good guys at? Well, this and this and that. Well, what did you leave? Was it better now? Because now you're struggling. You're on your own. You're doing this. You're doing that. And there's no harmony. And the women you hear are just wore out. They're fed up. Or then they get in a situation with another person, and then the guys will say, "Hey, I'm not dealing with baby daddy drama." Why? Because that ain't my kid, and he's got a father. So we're going to have to come to agreement that you're going to have to act like an adult. But when we're in my house, we're going to have to respect rules because it's called respect. Not that whole "it's my kid, you're going to do it." If they're under the roof, work together. Welcome to parenting. Welcome to having somebody to help you. But you got to learn to communicate. But the damage that CPS is doing on top of everything, and to including what's been happening in the destruction of our families because of all of things like this, guys, we've got to get back to our families and realize what fucking matters. Protect our children, love on our children, protect our spouses, watch their back. Listen here, they're gonna make mistakes. They're fucking human. But if they learn from their fucking mistakes and try to do better and push towards it, and you encourage it and you work together, which is what you're supposed to do, you get over things. And just because, and this, I guess, is perspective, and I look at it this way, is how our Creator sees. There's no difference between first-degree murder and, and doing some of the other things and stuff like that. It's all considered the same thing. It's not good. Some people call it sin, whatever you want to call it. It's evil. But here's the other thing you got to learn, and I love the beauty of this particular story, not to be over religious, but David was known as a man after God's own heart. And people say, "Oh, well, it was because of this." I go, you realize that man was a murderer, an adulterer, he was this, he was that, all these different things and this and that. And he goes, "Well, yeah, well, why would a man that was done that much be known as that?" Why? Because every time he screwed up, he learned from his mistakes. He repented from his ways. Repenting, now I'm going to use the word repent. In other words, you learn from your mistakes and you moved on. Because otherwise, how many people you see around you stuck? How about you, Tiff? You see people stuck around you all the time, don't you?
All day long.
Guys, we got to do better. That's what this is about. Because if we were doing better, probably half this shit, like Darren said, they would, if we knew about this and all that other stuff, they wouldn't come after our kids. You turn around and be like, when the CPS come to the door, you'd be like that to the Jehovah's Witnesses. "Oh, hell no. Or I'm here to piss you off. I'm going to talk to you about 5 hours and this and that. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to blow and drop a bomb on you." That's always fun, too. I mean, you just really go on some stuff. I mean, one time they go through this, and I don't think it'll work for me. Why? Because, just really mess with them. Well, I worked at the slaughterhouse, and, we bring in we process dead bodies all day and all this. And, we just, do these to corpses and this, and then. And there's just like, guy worked in the morgue.
That is so funny.
Oh my gosh, you do this. I mean, but see, once again, it's perspective. And that's the thing we've got to change. We got to quit fighting each other over this division of race, over this bullshit of privilege and all that other stuff. It's horseshit. It's made to divide us. Well, I'll admit that the government has really taken it out on certain cultures of people, but understand that's during that period of time. Go look at my culture, my Irish culture from the beginning. Look what they did to the fucking Irish in this country. The Italians. It wasn't just that. Look at what they did to the Chinese during the railroad expansion. Come on. Let's just face some truths and get along and move forward and just do better. That's all I'm asking. When people ask me, Jonathan was saying there, what do I want? Do you want this? No, I just want to live under the Constitution. Be free, fuck off, let me do what I have to do, leave me my fucking money alone, let me do what I want to, but also let me get back into trading and doing some of these other things that I don't have to, and teach money. Let's do a little trading in this set. Sometimes somebody that has money says, "Hey, I need this done." Well, guess what? Go get that done. There's your money right there. But once again, that's called labor, and they want to tax all that. But once again, you're not working for a corporation. It's a private contract. They don't have that over private contracts. The same way with your child support and some of the other things. If you agree to do that, part of your divorce decree, and then child support comes in there and says, "Hey, we're going to modify it. We got to go by the states." This and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. There's a private contract here in place. And you realize it's a crime for the state to interfere with a private contract, right? It's a felony. In every state. For any government official to interfere with a private contract. But those are the facts. And guys, I hate it. You know, if this hurts your feelings, truth sucks, doesn't it? You don't believe me? Go look it up your damn self, because you know what? You're going to see the same thing, and then you're going to kick yourself, and then go. And the most thing you're going to be mad at is the fact that you didn't know that, and you looked like a fool. And that's my, hey, listen, don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad. Feel educated. There's the perspective that you have different that public education's told you is you're an idiot. You're a fool. You're a dummy. You know, you flunked out. You don't pass the test course. You don't have, what's that got to do with anything? And you have that sense of, you know what I'm talking about, Tiff. I mean, you know, and Darren, we went through that shit in school. The teachers are pressing you. You got to follow. You got to stand in line. You got to line up in a single file. You got to. You got to. What if I don't want to? There's my freedom.
They're lining you up for a prison or a factory job.
100%. It's the cycle of the system. It keeps feeding the beast. But listen, we've got some case law up there, guys, in the comments. Check out some of that case law in the comments. Several other things. Once again, if you don't, you're not able to watch the show live, you can always take and come back and watch previous shows on our channel, the CPS Breaking News Network. And stay tuned. There's always more to come. And I believe we're just gonna. You guys ready to wrap her up or zip them up? What are we gonna do here, Tiff? I don't know. She's got her cigarette out. What do we got left? About a half a cigarette. Okay, we got a half a cigarette left, Darren, that we can go before Tiff takes and taps out on us.
Yeah, because I'm about to tap out because I'm tired. All right, Darren. Oh, tomorrow we'll be on at 8. We're on a field trip with Deidre again tomorrow. So 8 o'clock tomorrow. Darren.
Yep.
Let's roll.
Yep.
I already told him tomorrow at 8.
All right, let's go. We out. Deidre, we're coming for you. Where's this goddamn control? And make sure you guys check in with us.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper.
No, John, don't go to the chopper. Chopper's not here.
But it's not a tumor.
You're pretty bad at that one, Gunnar.
I try. I was too giggling.
You're done all right, though. You're done all right. All right, folks. We're out of here. Maybe not. Who knows? Button don't work.
Come with badges, dressed in deceit, taking children, claiming it's all for the streets. We rise up, we won't be ignored. The CPS Punisher leads us toward the score. They come with badges, dressed in deceit, taking children, claiming it's all for the streets. But we rise up, we won't be ignored. The CPS Punisher leads us toward the score. Together we stand, for the truth we'll fight. CPS, hear a battle cry. No more corruption, we'll reach for the sky. A family torn, but we're ready to stand. For our children's rights, we'll take back our land. On the mic, with hearts on our sleeve. Herbert's got the law to help us believe. Expose the lies, peel back the mask. No more injustice, it's truth we'll unmask. Stand together, this mission's ours alone. CPS, hear our battle cry. No more corruption, we'll reach for the sky. A family torn, but we're ready to stand. For our children's rights, we'll take back our land. corruption will reach for the sky. A family torn, but we're ready to stand. For children's rights, we'll take back our land. CPS.
And as always, let's go, Brandon.